My husband John had an accident. He fell off the balcony outside the emergency room. The doctor told me that even if they managed to save him, he would be paralyzed for the rest of his life. John was able to say a few words to me. I was crying and told the doctor that John had said he would rather die than live like that. I signed the papers and they turned off the machines. 5 minutes later, he was taken to the morgue. I had waited 20 years for this day. On my way to the funeral home, my phone rang. It was Sophia, a student John had been helping financially for over 10 years. In my phone, her contact was saved as Mistress. I tried not to smile too much as I answered the call calmly. "Mom?" Sophia's sweet voice said on the other end. She was a grown woman in graduate school, but still talked like a child, which honestly made me uncomfortable. She usually only talked to John and only acknowledged me out of politeness. "What's up?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. She wanted to know where her dad was and why he wasn't replying to her texts or calls. She needed money for tuition for the new semester, living expenses, and fees for a study trip to Europe. Basically everything. I had the speakerphone on, and she repeated, "Dad this, Dad that," so many times that even the driver seemed to notice something was off. His expression was strange. I silently let her list all her expenses, which added up to at least $100,000. Talk about being poor. She couldn't even cover $100,000. I didn't say anything, and she got impatient. "Whatever, you're not very educated, so you wouldn't understand. Just let Dad know when you see him." I replied, "He's dead. We're on the way to the crematorium." There was silence for a couple of seconds, followed by a loud outburst. "Clara, are you crazy? Why curse Dad like that? You're so evil," she yelled, attacking me. "No wonder Dad doesn't like you. You're old and ugly, and on top of that, your mouth stinks." "You wait. I'm telling Dad for sure." I just nodded. Yeah. John adored this daughter, especially in bed. Young, fair, beautiful. What man wouldn't like that? She thought her affair with John was a well-kept secret. I had found out 3 years ago. I rubbed my ear, hung up, and quickly snapped a close-up photo of John's body before sending it to Sophia. I added a note. "Come to the funeral home. You might still catch him before cremation." Sophia started bombarding my phone with calls and texts, but I wasn't having it. I blocked her number without hesitation, and the world suddenly became quiet. I hummed a tune as I drove through all the green lights. The driver looked at me through the rearview mirror, speechless, not understanding why someone whose husband had just died could be so happy. Sophia showed up at the funeral home. My mother-in-law came too. Sophia brought backup, a guy with dyed yellow hair who looked ready for a fight. My husband was already burning in the cremation furnace. My mother-in-law had just returned from a trip, with a suitcase in hand and wearing a ridiculous Hawaiian dress. I shook my head. "Mom, have some decency. Your son died, and here you are, all dressed up for a party." She lost it, asking me where John was. I pointed to the furnace. She was stunned in disbelief, then cried and wailed, accusing me. "You wicked woman, it's your fault. Did you murder him? Why didn't they get a final look?" Simple, because I didn't want to see him. I glanced at the furnace, feeling just fine. Even her insults didn't sting much. "I'm calling the cops. I'm going to report you." The old lady was pushing 80. Afraid she'd charge at me and blame me for her fall, I jumped behind the funeral home staff. The place was busy with families mourning, and when they heard her, some turned to look. I innocently explained, "He fell off the balcony accidentally. There are witnesses, call logs, doctor's reports. Check for yourself, Mom." "Sure, your last name's the same, but don't blame everything on me." Sophia, with red eyes, helped my breathless mother-in-law snapping accusations. "Clara, guilty much? Your actions could be considered concealment." I wasn't fazed. Reading a few legal lines doesn't make you an attorney. She sure thought highly of herself. Neither my mother-in-law nor Sophia let up. Their voices kept getting louder. Even the staff stepped in, sternly reminding them to respect the other deceased and that family matters should be taken home. I peeked over from behind the staff. "Yeah, this is a family affair. What's it got to do with you, miss?" Sophia's face changed color. I'm the adopted daughter, so it does concern me. I countered, John and I only ever adopted Michael. Where do you pop out from? While they argued, John was done. Ash was in a box. An announcement came over the PA. Memorial service for John's family in Hall 4, please proceed. I shouted, here I am, cremating before memorializing. Only I could pull that off. At the funeral home, after 20 years as a couple at least, I had prepped for this. I spent $10,000 renting a hall for the afternoon so friends and family could say goodbye. But when faced with the urn, everyone looked bewildered. Where's the body? I said, you don't know? He fell from the 20th floor, mangled beyond recognition. I was just sparing you a fright. My mother-in-law shrieked, scolding me for lacking decorum. I was totally innocent. It was my first time losing a husband, no prior experience. In the morning hall, everyone was dressed in grief, crying. The loudest crier was Sophia. John had sponsored her for over a decade, from elementary school through graduate school. Everyone in the family knew about it. People always said it was rare for financially assisted students to make it to graduate school like Sophia and have a chance to move up in life. John seemed like such a good person. Today she cried with such genuine emotion. What a model of gratitude. Michael rolled their eyes at the chatty relatives, too lazy to argue with them. My mother-in-law and Sophia cried together, hugging. Now that he was gone, the issue of how to split the estate came up. My mother-in-law asked about it. I casually took out John's phone and said, before losing consciousness, my husband recorded his will. Let's just follow that. Since everyone's here today, let's make it official. The recording was from the only time John woke up in the hospital. Although he spoke haltingly, his mind was clear and his expression was coherent. He clearly stated to leave a house to his mother and the remaining 2 houses, along with his bank deposits, stocks, funds, cars, and so on, all to Sophia. As for me and my daughter, he didn't mention us at all. Oh, actually, not exactly. He did say the furniture was bought by me so I could take it with me. No way, someone blurted out. Giving all the inheritance to a sponsored student instead of his own wife and kid was unheard of. People reacted just like that, but I wasn't surprised in the slightest. Sophia, however, was caught between surprise and excitement with barely suppressed glee on her face. Who would have thought she'd become a rich woman at the funeral parlor? My family was livid, instantly uniting and claiming it was unfair. His assets should be inherited in order of succession, Sophia. How could she be a beneficiary? Sophia earnestly educated everyone on legal knowledge. The law states that a will takes precedence over the order of inheritance. She explained it pretty clearly. Clearly, she often read up on inheritance laws and found it handy. Now, I wasn't in a hurry. I asked everyone to calm down, reminding them this was a memorial, not an accusation session. It was a time to cherish the memory of the deceased. Next, I prepared a surprise for my mother-in-law and Sophia. I projected John's phone photo album onto a big screen. The first picture was a selfie of him and Sophia kissing. As I scrolled down, it was all intimate, suggestive photos, even some bed pictures. Given the explicit nature, I just clicked away quickly. Many photos were shot at odd angles, clearly taken secretly. Everyone present needed to cleanse their eyes tonight. Sophia was stunned, her lips parted in disbelief. She never expected John had taken sneaky pictures of them in private. I questioned Sophia. Why were you in bed with Dad? Was he giving you a physical exam? Wow, you're so filial, returning the favor. Eva was John's nickname for her. Someone threw up. My family went ballistic. Oh, you. Turns out you were John's mistress. No wonder you coaxed him into spilling my sister's money. John funded you all these years and you repay him by getting into his bed? Shameful. Now the truth was out. My mother-in-law stepped up first. She confidently yelled louder than my family, "It's only rightful. This is justice. Sophia's carrying our family's only grandson. Why is giving her more a problem? It's Clara who couldn't bear kids, cutting off our family line. Our money should go to our precious grandchild. Naturally, it's only rightful." She repeated that 1,000,000 times. Everyone started staring at Sophia's slightly protruding belly, thinking it was weight gain, but it turned out she was pregnant. I had known it all along. Before John's life support was cut, he had told me Sophia was pregnant and asked me to be generous and take care of her. So, I had taken care of her first by sending her off that day. The funeral parlor was as chaotic as a marketplace. Both sides almost came to blows. Even the staff couldn't contain my brothers and nephews. It took the intervention of a burly cop to calm things down. Why all the fuss? Why all the fuss? Please show some respect for the deceased. I assured the officer, I'll cooperate fully. I hugged John's ashes, grinning and saying, fighting over ashes, are we? Not anymore. Not anymore. If my husband's fling likes them, let's fulfill her wish. I shoved the urn into Sophia's hands, and before she could react, I let go. Ashes scattered everywhere, all over her. I was ecstatic, shouting, "Oh no, Sophia, can't you hold on tight to your dad? Look, he's all over the place." Sophia's face turned ghostly pale as she screamed and jumped away. "Ashes to ashes, John. Goodbye to you." The next day, a video titled, "Sponsored Student Snags Benefactor's Entire Estate with Pregnancy, Wife Left Empty-Handed," went viral. The views exceeded 100,000, and the comments were wild, prompting massive shares across social media. The content was sensational, featuring John's final words, then photos of him and Sophia at luxury venues, both domestic and abroad, luxury goods stores, and fancy cars and houses. The highlight was their intimate photos. Although people's faces in private areas were pixelated, the vague concealment only fueled people's curiosity. Who'd have thought John, after death, became an online sensation? The comments were explosive. What is it with old guys? How do you even kiss one while doing it? Does she call him daddy too? That video trended. Sophia even had a social media account portraying herself as a triumphant underdog. Her bio detailed her tragic past as an orphan from a poor family, rising to study in a major city for graduate school. In her videos, she shared tips on saving money and finding work-study opportunities. Her content was even followed by the school's official account, inspiring many. But soon, someone doctored her account, directing people to attack her, linking everyone to the original video. And just like that, her facade crumbled. Turns out, you can't even maintain a student's lifestyle without $30,000 a year. Guess the real clown was me. Her LV bag is worth 10 years of steamed buns for me. Rural students rise from poverty. Ladies, take notes. This is how you win without lifting a finger. Of course, there were always some people with bizarre morals bashing her. Why are y'all so jealous? If you have the skills, go find a rich person yourself. She didn't steal or rob, she earned it fair and square. What's it got to do with you? People online were so mad, they almost wanted to jump through the internet and punch him. Because of this, Sophia's school account got hit with a wave of online attacks, and it wasn't a good look. The school launched an investigation, and Sophia was busy explaining. While they were all occupied, I seized the moment, sold the house, the car, and my jewelry, and cashed in $20 million. Then I hit the luxury stores, bought branded bags and watches, and took a trip to Japan. I came back for a high-end spa treatment at a salon. After all this rough patch, it was my turn to reap some benefits. As a young lady was doing my blackhead removal, my phone rang. It was a text from the court, reminding me of the court summons that had arrived at home, asking me to prepare for the suit. My mother-in-law and Sophia had sued me for maliciously transferring assets and not executing the will. I had sold an $8 million waterfront apartment. The buyer showed up to take possession, only to find my mother-in-law and Sophia still living inside. We all stared at each other in disbelief. They didn't know I had sold the place. People who can afford an expensive waterfront home aren't fools. The new owner immediately asked them to produce the property deed or a rental agreement. They had neither. The new owner gave them 3 days to move out. They refused, so he started dismantling the doors and renovations. Even the police couldn't do much. The owner had authority. The whole mess made quite a splash, but I was in Japan, living carefree, ignoring domestic calls and social media, so their chaos didn't bother me at all. My mother-in-law and Sophia had to move back to the old house. Then Sophia rushed to look at luxury apartments and put a deposit on a 3-room unit. When it was time to pay the remaining amount, they found John's dozen bank cards, added up to less than $100,000. Before the trial, Sophia went live on her own account, standing before the court with her lawsuit in hand, crying, "Guys, I didn't scam for money or the house. We had plans to marry after having the child. These were all his promises to me." With tears like a pear blossom in the rain, she painted the picture of a pitiful character, a woman driven from her home, pregnant with nowhere to go. "I believe the law will give me justice." Then she looked down, gently rubbing her belly. "Baby, this time Mom will be brave and protect you with the law." The security guard shouted, "This is a judicial building. No filming or live broadcast without permission. Miss, please follow the law." Sophia turned off the live stream. In court, Sophia berated me with confidence. "I have John's recordings. He left all deposits and investments to me for the sake of me and the child." The day John got in trouble, she had bought huge insurance and withdrawn over $3 million. "This woman maliciously transferred assets. I demand the execution of her assets." Sophia was super agitated, frantically loud enough for the judge to hammer down several times. "Plaintiff, keep it in check. I haven't called for your statement yet. It's currently the phase for both lawyers to debate." Only then did Sophia sit down, clutching her belly. Her lawyer, looking young and promising but ensconced under pressure, just reiterated the lawsuit without personal insights. Then it was our lawyer's turn. The recorded will was made at 2 p.m., but my client bought the insurance at 10 a.m. My client's plan was a rational financial pre-planning, triggered out of deep concern after her husband's unfortunate accident. It counts as reasonable household expenditure, not asset transfer. Furthermore, the fact that my client knew her husband's banking info and transaction passwords shows he had expressly agreed and authorized my client to manage and allocate some assets. Legally, this qualifies as a gift, so the plaintiff is not entitled to a portion. I was calm, secretly giving a thumbs up to the lawyer. I had borne it for so many years, working hard for those banking passwords, waiting for this day. Both my mother-in-law and Sophia were stunned. The deposits were just small change. The real value was in the property. My mother-in-law shouted, The house! The house! He said he'd give us the house, and she sold it all." The judge frowned and hammered a few times, telling her to calm down. "Present evidence of the property ownership or transaction records." After several pages of evidence, the judge found no copy of the property deed or any purchase records. Looking at the mother-in-law, she shouted loudly, "I've lived in that house for 20 years. Why is proof necessary? Neighbors and property management can vouch for it. The other two were bought after my son's marriage. They're his. There's no property deed." Pointing at me, she venomously said, "This woman schemed long ago, planning for today, hid them, and sold them." Sophia added, "They should be marital assets, half belonging to John. Per the will, I should inherit half too." She also said that since the houses were sold, she'd settle for $15 million from me. Our lawyer was speechless. He threw out evidence. One house was fully purchased by my client before marriage. The other two were personal gifts from my client's parents post-marriage, hence personal property of the woman, unrelated to the man. These are my client's purchase records and the parental gift notary. Therefore, Mr. John's will is void in this context. The plaintiff cannot claim my client's property. My mother-in-law was the first to be shocked. She shouted, saying John had told her personally the house was his. He said it himself. I couldn't help but laugh. Sure, John made a lot, but it was all spent on food, fun, and keeping mistresses. He liked to brag and look good. Telling my mother-in-law he bought the house made him look so capable back then. I had let him save face and hadn't exposed the truth, leaving my mother-in-law thinking that the house was his. The judge asked if I had anything to add. I asked, "Can I laugh?" The judge was puzzled but nodded. Then I couldn't hold it in and burst into laughter right there in court. "Sophia, do you even know any legal basics? That was my premarital property and personal gift. It has nothing to do with John. Can he just give it to you because of a will? If that's the case, then I might as well make a will when I die and divvy up Elon Musk's money, $10 billion to Michael, $10 billion to my mom, and the rest to charity." Trying to keep a straight face, I laughed and said seriously, "Please, court, execute this." The judge slammed his gavel, telling me to get serious. The verdict was out quickly. I put it online immediately. Sophia got slammed again, facing a new wave of online ridicule. What's this called? Money hungry. Her antics shocked me beyond belief. Never met such a brazen mistress trying to take the legal wife's property. As long as you're alive, even at 100, you'll hear news every day. The court ruled that half of the remaining savings, stocks, mutual funds, and the car went to Sophia and my mother-in-law. John used to dabble in stocks and got burned. His stocks, once worth millions, dwindled to just over $10,000. The car he bought for $80,000 years back had depreciated over the years, now worth just a few thousand. I couldn't be bothered to maintain that junk. I did some math. Sophia got about $20,000 from John's estate. For regular folks, $20,000 can last for a while, but she was spoiled, spent big, and now this amount wasn't enough. She wasn't satisfied with the judgment and wanted to appeal. She didn't want to share. She wanted it all. But before she could appeal, I dropped a bombshell. Now for my counterattack. I pulled bank statements, message, and e-pay records from John's phone, along with their travel expenses, both domestic and abroad. I traced over $25 million that John had transferred to a third party without my consent from our joint assets. When Sophia got the court summons, she called me in a fury, yelling, "How dare you sue me? That was his support for me." I snapped back, "Think about what you're saying. Who finances a student down to the sheets?" It was my mother-in-law's turn to act. Sophia went live again, filming my mother-in-law. She knelt at the courthouse entrance, cursing me for being heartless, pushing them to the edge. She claimed I was a millionaire squeezing a pregnant woman. She had no shame, didn't care about others' opinions. Her act was intense, with her gray-haired old self bawling, holding a sign with my photo and ID number, listing 10 of my supposed sins in bold red letters. Things like not respecting in-laws, not having kids after years of marriage, not giving them my entire paycheck, passersby whispered. Today, I dressed plainly and looked messy, carrying a burlap bag full of materials. Each time the mother-in-law stopped, I chimed in. "Folks, see here. John abused me over 20 times in all these police records." The mother-in-law was startled, quickly changing the subject. I pressed on. John made $50,000 a year, never contributed a dime. Our adopted daughter's household expenses, family visits, I covered all this over decades. Didn't he spend all his money on you and the mistress? How are you broke? Sophia lost it and ended the live stream, but my adopted daughter was still recording, and I blurted into the camera, sobbing. My friends, judge for yourselves. Which family abandons wife and kid, squandering on some poverty-stricken student, living in luxury, flaunting designer bags, and touring Europe, staying in 5-star hotels? I was on a roll, pointing at Sophia. Passers-by gazed, expressions varied. Sophia looked furious, lunging at me, but I dodged nimbly as if I were an old lady dancing, narrowly evading her. I wept loudly. "Don't touch me! I have high blood pressure." Giving my mother-in-law a taste of her own medicine? Finally, the guards couldn't take it, picked up a bullhorn, and shouted, "This is a judicial institution. No recording or filming without permission." "Miss Ma'am, obey the law." I immediately quieted down. Law-abiding citizen I am. Given her last loss, they switched lawyers this time. As luck would have it, I switched lawyers too. Mine is a famous expert in dealing with mistresses. In court, my lawyer cited references confidently. Our standpoint is that since Miss Sophia's start in freshman year, she maintained an inappropriate relationship with Mr. John. During this time, the financial support Mr. John provided to Miss Sophia significantly exceeded normal student expenses for study and living. This amount should not be deemed as support. It was unauthorized by our client, and we demand its full return. Sophia's lawyer argued the Europe trip was an educational school trip. Payments were normal expenses. I countered, who sends living expenses with numbers like 13, 14, 520, adding zeros, multiple zeros behind? 2 plane tickets to Europe for school and books? Just 1 room? Nuff, you're embarrassing yourself. The opposing lawyer looked frustrated, but he was just doing his job, had to defend his client no matter how far-fetched. By the end, even the judge's face was grim. The ruling came quickly again. Except for some evidence-less claims, most of my demands were supported. The court ordered her to return over $100,000. Honestly, I almost felt sorry for her. Sophia, playing rich while claiming poverty, living like royalty, having no interest in saving or investing. I wondered if she even had the money. Sure enough, I waited and waited, but nothing. She brazenly taunted, "I'll tell you, I have no money. What if you win? Hang on to that verdict and die old with it. That's hilarious. Doesn't she know that being a deadbeat can land her on a blacklist?" I wasn't afraid to face off with her. The very next day, I went to court to apply for enforcement and made copies of the court judgments from both hearings. I sent them to her school's office, filing a complaint against her under my real name for misconduct. Soon enough, the school revoked her low-income student status and expelled her. Sophia wasn't going to graduate, and that ending was satisfying. Her account stirred up quite the buzz, with everyone commenting, "Justice never delays. Thank you, school, for correcting this bad behavior and preserving the reputation of us low-income students." Sophia became like a street rat, despised by everyone. But whether it's infamy or fame, she was still trending. Sophia quickly capitalized on this newfound attention. After her account went silent for a month, the narrative shifted. Her status message read, "Starting fresh from rock bottom." And boy, isn't it rock bottom. Pregnant out of wedlock, dropped out of grad school, on the deadbeat list, and let's not forget, a mother-in-law halfway to the grave, praying for a grandson. The hardships were stacked up high, but soon she turned things around. Lying on my couch, I watched her latest live stream. By then, she had moved into a new 3-bedroom, lavishly decorated. On camera, her eyes were red. My relationship with John isn't about the money. I'm grateful for his support through school. Besides tuition, I've paid back everything else. Here are the transfer records. This house was bought with the money I earned from work-study jobs. I'll work hard and make a living to support my baby. Just then, I received a text from the court. Sophia had paid over $1 million, and I was notified to bring my ID and bank card to collect it. Sophia's account was buzzing, and she began showcasing baby products on camera, full of confidence and pride. I smirked. This was just the beginning. There's a bigger bombshell in store. Just wait. I picked up my phone and dialed the police. "Officer, I suspect my husband was murdered." The sirens wailed, and soon Officer Hart showed up. I welcomed them into my home. Since John's incident, I hadn't stayed there. The police had already investigated the day it happened, concluding it was an accident due to deteriorated railings. I hadn't managed to sell the house since that day. As I was sorting through things and checking the surveillance footage, I found Sophia had used a key to enter my home multiple times before John's accident, often bringing tools to the balcony. Every year, I bought accident insurance for my family, just a few $100. Yesterday, when I went to claim the insurance, the staff told me Sophia had applied for accident insurance for John with a coverage of $15 million. Who knows if she did the same with other companies? Hearing this, the police sent something off. The large insurance policies, the accident, and Sophia's newfound wealth made them think of something else, like the movie playing on my living room TV, The Vanishing. The investigators moved quickly, launching a full-fledged investigation while summoning Sophia. She acted naturally, claiming she was just sneaking in while I was out to help get clothes for my husband. As for the tools, she said she bought them for repairs and took them along by chance. After leaving the station, Sophia was furious and yelled at me, "If you're really forgetful, see a doctor instead of slandering me without evidence. I will sue you for defamation." Blocking out her yapping, I plugged my ears, called for a ride, and left. From the back seat, I saw Sophia strutting around in heels through the side mirror with a self-satisfied look. Then her video account found new material. She cried online, claiming I wronged her, tearfully lamenting before John's picture, accusing me of pushing her when she was already down after taking money from her. Her story twisted the truth. While she pocketed big insurance payouts, she played the part of a struggling victim. Amid her drama, she looked pale, clinging to her round belly, all tragic-like. Emotionally charged, she easily stirred up another wave of sympathy online. Whatever. She's a pregnant woman after all. Maybe it's time to take a step back and let things cool for now. Why would she commit murder when she's pregnant? It defies all logic. With this video, Sophia began to clean up her image and even started live selling. But karma hit back fast. Insurance companies soon discovered Sophia had bought massive accident policies for John from multiple providers, totaling several million. Suspicious of a murder for insurance scheme, they called the police. A week later, during a live stream, while giggling and thanking a top contributor for gifting her a rocket, a group of officers burst in, quickly pinning her down. Live, she was cuffed with everyone watching. Whoa, did she actually commit murder? Keep the stream going. I need to see what happens next. Just then, I posted, "I'm the murdered husband's wife. To find out what happens, follow me." There was a vacant unit across from my apartment with surveillance, perfectly capturing my balcony. The police contacted the owner and retrieved the footage, clearly showing Sophia tampering with the railings 2 months prior. Experts confirmed the railings were intentionally sabotaged, showing repeated damage at critical points. On the day John fell, he was resting against the railings, oblivious to the danger. The truth was unveiled. Sophia was charged with murder. She denied everything, but it didn't stop the prosecutors from charging her and the insurance companies from filing fraud charges. The police called me to the station to discuss a potential civil suit. At the station, I bumped into my mother-in-law, who wouldn't stop shouting her disbelief. Isn't she just a suspect? If so, then she's definitely not the killer. It's clear Clara's framing her. She's pregnant with my son's baby, so how could she possibly kill him? Officers, you must have made a mistake. Grandma saw me and suddenly turned her accusations on me, pointing the finger. It's all your fault, you wretched woman. You're the murderer. Afraid she'd falsely accuse me, I quickly ducked behind a police officer for cover. Hey, watch it. Don't come any closer or I'll call the cops on you. The female cop I used as a shield didn't look too amused. Officers, protect me. She was really worked up and the officers tried to calm her down. Listening in, I found out she had been camping out at the precinct for 2 days, trying to pressure them to release someone. I swear that baby is the only grandson of the Lee family. If something happens to him, it's on you for negligence. Then she collapsed, rolling on the floor like a child, beating her chest and crying. The police are hurting my family. There's no justice. If you don't let her go, I'll die right here. No matter how many officers tried, they couldn't calm her down, and she was playing the old age card hard, and no one dared lay a hand on her. Her voice filled the precinct, and the cops were rolling their eyes. I took off my sunglasses. Guess I'd have to handle this. Aunt, do you know why I haven't had a child in over a decade? She looked stunned for a moment, then snarled, Because you're the one who's barren. A hen who can't lay eggs. And yet you won't divorce, leaving my son without an heir. I wagged a finger. No problem. I pulled out a few reports and said, after I lost my first child, I couldn't get pregnant again, so John and I both got checked out. Guess what? He's got a low sperm count. I held up another. 10 years ago, still low, and another. This one's a doozy, 5 years ago, 0 sperm count. There's no way you can't do it when you're young, but can when you're older. The doctor said his chance of natural conception is next to none. I didn't want to hurt his feelings, so I never told him or you. Aunt, if I were you, I'd really look into whose baby Sophia's carrying. She was stunned into silence. The cops had their jaws practically on the floor, first looking at me, then at her. At this point, the police brought Sophia out. She heard what I said and shrieked, Lies! The baby is definitely John's, you nasty woman. So venomous just because you can't conceive, you cursed John. I added, Aunt, criminal litigation with lawyer fees is going to cost tens of thousands. Have you fronted that money yet? Suddenly, Aunt seemed to smarten up. She was willing to walk through fire for her son and grandson, but if there was any doubt about the paternity, she wouldn't be played for a fool. She demanded a genetic test between Sophia's baby and the family. Sophia agreed right away. I was a bit surprised. A week later, I got a call from the hospital. Aunt had had a stroke and was in the hospital. They wanted me to settle the bill. Apparently, she had taken one look at that genetic report and immediately had a stroke. The report was still with her things. I took a peek. Sure enough, Sophia's baby had absolutely no blood relation to the family. Settle the bill? Not my responsibility. She's got her pension and whatever she squirreled away from her son's earnings. And how did she even think of giving the hospital my number? Daring move. I'm not the Clara I used to be. John's gone, and I owe her nothing. With that, I walked out, not dropping a dime. Plenty of people owe money. The hospital can find a way to get their fees. A few days later, Aunt was discharged, and again I got a call. They said she was partially paralyzed and couldn't live alone. They were asking me to take her home. The call was passed to Aunt, and she croaked out something. All I caught was regret and realizing I was the only capable one who could care for her now. I shot her a number for a nursing home. You always said you didn't need me, that your son and grandson were everything, and a woman like me was nothing. I'm respecting your wishes. Her pension could cover the costs. I was done. After I hung up, I called my attorney. I'm suing Sophia for civil damages. She must have bought a lot of brand name bags, clothes, and jewelry with John's money. I want all of it back. I left the legal stuff to my lawyer. Sophia went into labor on the eve of the trial. The cops took her bleach-haired brother to the hospital for a paternity test. The baby was his. They told him to take responsibility as the child's legal guardian. Rumor had it the hospital was a circus that day. Sophia went ballistic on him. Didn't you use protection? How am I pregnant? Bleach hair felt hard done by. So many times nothing happened. Who knew that time would be it? Newly graduated with a mountain of student loans, he couldn't handle a kid. They fought loudly in the hospital room until the police reminded them adults must own up to their actions. Since he was the dad, ditching the child could lead to abandonment charges. In the end, he did take the baby. A month later, the trial began. I kept my followers up to date on how things were going. After the first hearing, we waited for the verdict. I called up a handyman to seal off my balcony railings. Those old ones rust too easily. I wasn't taking any more chances. The handyman nodded, pointing out how unreliable they were. I had been living in this house for 20 years since I got married. No one knew the details of this place better than me. How many tiles there are, where the cracks are, what's broken. I knew the balcony railing had always had issues. John had this habit of leaning against it to smoke and chat on the phone. 3 years ago, when I caught him cheating with Sophia, I installed a hidden camera at home. That's when I discovered he'd brought Sophia over countless times when I wasn't home. Sophia would wear my nightgown, flaunting herself in front of him. They'd strip down in the living room and twist into the guest room. It was sickening. Whenever Sophia came over, my mother-in-law would keep watch. Afterward, she would giggle. The camera recorded audio, so I heard her clearly say, "Sophia, once you graduate, I'll have John divorce that woman who can't have kids to give me a chubby grandbaby." The camera caught other things too, like my mother-in-law telling John, when she first got pregnant after marrying in, "Thank goodness you made her lose the baby. With her condition, she'd only have one kid and you'd be tied down, but Sophia looks fertile, move quickly, have her give birth to several. We've got money, we can afford it. This time, it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl, just have one. The country allows multiple children now, unlike before." She rambled on in front of the camera. Listening to it made my heart freeze. Finally, I understood why John had hit me when I was pregnant. My mother-in-law had asked some so-called expert who said I was having a girl, and back then, John was just a small-time leader. We only had a one-child policy. My mother-in-law dreamed of a grandson, and John, with his macho mindset, listened to his mom. He picked a fight and caused me to miscarry. John was blowing smoke rings and laughing without a care. The camera had been filming for 6 months. I saw Sophia bringing tools onto my balcony, but I pretended not to see. After that, I was away from home even more often. She was always in and out. I acted like I saw nothing, absolutely nothing. But I bought the unit across from ours using a distant family member's name and set up surveillance there too. Each time I stepped onto the balcony, I was extra careful. I noticed the railing had loosened. One day, John confronted me and said he and Sophia were in love. Sophia was young, healthy, and could give him sons. He wanted a divorce. If I hadn't known about his affair, I'd have divorced him long ago, but now I refused. "John, right after we got married, if you hadn't beaten me and caused me to lose the baby, our child would be a college student by now. Unless you walk away with nothing and cough up all the money you gave Sophia, don't even think I'll agree to divorce." I shouted, "Even if it kills me, I'll keep your spouse line occupied. When you're sick or in the hospital, I'll be there to sign off and pull the plug." John slapped me again. We had a massive argument, and I stormed out to buy groceries. Downstairs, I looked up and saw him leaning against the balcony again, smoking and talking, lips flapping away. Who knows what he was saying about me that day? A typhoon was blowing, the wind was fierce. Then he just fell. Bam! He hit the canopy below, rolled onto the sidewalk, and ended up looking like a smashed tomato. Great. Pulling the plug on a jerk felt amazing. While having afternoon tea by the Seine, I got a call from the nursing home. They said my mother-in-law needed level 1 care and it would cost more. She had left them my contact info, which made me laugh angrily. I've got nothing to do with her. If there's no money, just toss her out. 2 weeks later, my mother-in-law passed away. Another one down. The nursing home asked me to handle her posthumous affairs. I hung up immediately. Bad vibes. It took a year, but the missing persons case finally saw progress. Sophia was found guilty of murder to defraud insurance, given a 35-year suspended sentence. I posted the verdict on my social media. The outcome was so satisfying. Poor kid, though. Vanished dad, murderous mom. What a rough start. I heard the woman left the kid at an orphanage and disappeared. The community workers contacted the grandparents in her hometown. They were too poor. Just some farmers in a remote mountain village with no ability to raise another kid. The child ended up back at the orphanage, an orphan now. People were outraged. How does she get a suspended sentence for murder? Give her a lesser sentence later, and she'll be out after a few decades. Murderers should be put to death. Serving decades behind bars has got to be worse than dying, though. I wonder if Sophia regrets it in prison. Now the court froze her designer bags and even the utensils from her house, auctioning them online. Good on them. They managed to secure tens of thousands of dollars for me. Her life is over. Mine is just getting started.